Oh my gosh, take care of you, right? Always take care of you physically, emotionally, spiritually. Take care of yourself.
Angela Bassett once said this with a warm smile, like a simple reminder, yet carrying an entire philosophy of life, something she had steadfastly applied for over 40 years to stand firm in Hollywood. But at 65, when she finally spoke out about the sudden death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, a close friend colleague, and almost like family, those words suddenly took on a deeper meaning, filled with both sorrow and a message for everyone. What makes a friendship draw global attention? What exactly was backstage between Angela Bassett and Malcolm-Jamal Warner, that it took her some time before deciding to tell it? The answer does not lie in rumors, but begins from the very first days they met, when both were at very different starting points. Yet a special twist of fate brought them together. Two paths and an early bond. To understand why Angela Bassett chose to speak out, and why her words moved the public so deeply, we have to go back to the 1980s, when two people seemingly on completely different paths happened to meet and formed a strong connection that would last more than 4 decades. At the time, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was just 14 years old, but had already become a nationwide sensation thanks to his role as Theo Huxtable in The Cosby Show. Every week, tens of millions of viewers turned on their TVs just to see the gentle smile and intelligent eyes of the Huxtable family's son. Warner ascended to television royalty almost overnight, but instead of becoming distant, he kept a rare humility and warmth. Angela Bassett was in a completely different place. Born in 1958, fresh out of the Yale School of Drama, with passion and a solid foundation, she entered Hollywood through small roles and fleeting appearances on screen, tirelessly searching for her place. She didn't yet have the spotlight or a large fan base, but she possessed an ambition and determination strong enough for the perceptive to notice. Their first meeting wasn't at a flashy event or a high-profile project, but it was enough for Bassett to remember forever. Warner, then a star at the height of his fame, greeted her with a friendly smile, asked questions, and chatted as if they had known each other for years. She later recalled, even when he was young, Malcolm's empathy, quiet strength, and radiant light surrounded all of us. In an entertainment industry, where pressure and competition can make people cold, the way Warner treated others left a lasting impression. In the years that followed, their paths remained parallel, but never truly apart. Warner continued to prove himself beyond Theo, starring in Malcolm and Eddie Reed, Between the Lines, and appearing in The Resident in Suits. He also made music, wrote poetry, won a Grammy Award, and became a powerful voice for the Black community. His private life was kept quiet, with only occasional glimpses of his wife and daughter shared on social media. Bassett, meanwhile, steadily climbed to the peak of success, earning an Oscar nomination for her portrayal of Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It, 1993, taking on standout roles in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and starring as Athena Grant Nash in 911. She built a stable marriage with Courtney B. Vance since 1997, raising twin children, and became a symbol of stability and loyalty in Hollywood. Warner once revealed they had worked together 4 times before 911. He said, "I knew Angela before the world knew Angela." It was both a proud statement and a testament to a bond that had endured over time. So when fate brought them back together on 911, the moment wasn't just another professional collaboration, it was the closing of a full circle in their friendship. And no one could have guessed that it would also be the last time Angela Bassett and Malcolm-Jamal Warner would appear on screen together. The milestone that closed a journey. Nearly 4 decades after their first meeting, Angela Bassett and Malcolm-Jamal Warner unexpectedly had the chance to reunite on one of the most popular television series in America, 911. This was more than just another TV project. It was a true full-circle moment where 2 career paths that had once crossed were brought together again now, with both as seasoned, accomplished stars. In 911, Angela Bassett portrayed Athena Grant Nash, a veteran police officer, strong, perceptive, and unwavering in her pursuit of justice. The role earned her $450,000 per episode, making her one of the highest-paid Black actresses in American television. For Bassett, working alongside Warner was not just a professional engagement, but an emotional journey. She had watched him grow from a teenage actor on The Cosby Show into a versatile artist maturing both in craft and character. During filming, the two often spent time off camera reminiscing about old memories, sharing life updates, and discussing their work. He was still the Malcolm I had always known, humble, warm, and always respectful to others, Bassett recalled in an interview. Behind the scenes, there were no sensational secrets, only genuine everyday moments. Laughter between takes, thoughtful notes offered to help each other deliver their best performances, and the quiet reassurance that comes from working with someone you trust. It was the kind of backstage experience few talk about, not dramatic, not scandalous, but the very thing that makes a project memorable for those involved. The episode featuring Warner drew millions of viewers, with many quickly noting the undeniable chemistry between the two actors. Social media lit up with praise. Two legends sharing the same frame you can't look away. And Angela and Malcolm turned that confrontation scene into a mini-movie. Longtime fans of The Cosby Show expressed heartfelt joy at seeing Warner reunite with a dear friend from the early days of his career. For Warner, it was more than a guest appearance. It was a chance to reaffirm his acting prowess and remind audiences that he was still here, still committed to his art. For Bassett, meeting Warner again on set felt like a gift, a reminder that genuine connections from the very beginning can endure through decades no matter how much life changes. From the outside, it was simply a beautiful moment in both of their careers. But for those who knew the story behind it, it carried a deeper meaning. It would be the last time they would ever work together. No one could have predicted that just a short time after the episode aired, an unforeseen tragedy would strike, ending any future chance of reunion. That full-circle moment on the 911 set is remembered not only as a professional success, but also as a treasured memory, a milestone that closed the chapter of Angela Bassett and Malcolm-Jamal Warner's collaborations. And when the unexpected loss came in July 2025, the memory of that reunion became all the more haunting and bittersweet. The sudden death and a wave of widespread curiosity. In July 2025, news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing at the age of 54 spread like wildfire, leaving Hollywood, and millions of fans around the globe stunned. On July 20th, Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Department, OIJ, confirmed that he had died from drowning while vacationing with his family at Coco's Beach, a scenic location known for its beauty, but also for dangerous rip currents. According to the official report, Warner was at the beach that day with his young daughter and a close friend. Early accounts hastily claimed that both he and his daughter had been swept out to sea together, sending social media into a frenzy. However, those reports were quickly corrected. He had been playing with his daughter on shore before entering the water with his friend. The two men were suddenly caught in a powerful current. The friend managed to escape, but Warner did not. Despite lifeguards pulling him to shore and attempting resuscitation, every effort to save him failed. What might have remained a tragic accident quickly took a different turn when Warner's mother made a vague remark saying, "There are things we cannot yet say." That single statement fueled international speculation. Tabloids seized on the mystery angle, inflating the possibility of hidden circumstances, despite both the investigation records and eyewitness accounts, confirming it was an unfortunate accident. The loss was all the more painful, given that Warner was in his creative prime, actively working on multiple artistic projects, continuing his music career, and co-hosting a podcast dedicated to mental health in the Black community, a cause he had poured his heart into during his later years. Within hours of the news tributes flooded social media, Tracy Ellis Ross, his co-star in Reed, between the lines called him warm, gentle, present, kind, thoughtful, deep, funny, and elegant, the kind of person who made the world brighter. Magic Johnson called Warner a dear friend and expressed his profound sadness. The NAACP wrote, "Your talent and spirit touched countless lives, and your legacy will continue to inspire." Even Bill Cosby, who had played Warner's father on The Cosby Show, spoke out. Despite his own controversies, he compared this loss to the death of his son. "This pain cannot be put into words." Angela Bassett learned of Warner's death through a mutual acquaintance's phone call. She described the moment as a punch straight to the chest, unable to believe that the friend she had been laughing and working alongside on the set of 911 just months earlier was now gone. Not long before, they had shared tense scenes on camera and warm moments behind it. Those times, once simply fond memories, had now become the last she would ever have of him. In the days that followed, both American and international media devoted extensive coverage to Warner's career, from the beloved Theo Huxtable, watched by tens of millions each week, to a multi-talented artist and Grammy winner, and finally to his role as a positive voice for the community. The Cosby Show had once pulled in over 30 million viewers per episode. Warner's resume spanned dozens of films and series, multiple music albums, and more than 40 years of uninterrupted work without losing the respect of his peers. During those first days after the news broke, Angela Bassett chose silence. She didn't want her words to be turned into clickbait. Instead, she waited for the right moment to speak, crafting in her heart a tribute to the man she called a brother in purpose and family. For Angela, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death was not just the loss of a talented colleague, it was a reminder of life's fragility. Those full-circle moments, like their reunion on 9/11, had now become treasured memories. And it was precisely this sense of loss that pushed her to break her silence. The Backstage truth revealed. More than a month after Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing, Angela Bassett finally stepped into the public eye, not on a red carpet or at a film premiere, but in a quieter, more intimate setting. It wasn't an official press conference or a tightly scripted interview. Instead, she chose a late-night talk show, with a loyal viewership, a place where she had often spoken about art and life, to talk about the friend she had just lost. When the host began with Angela, "You've stayed silent for quite a while about Malcolm's passing. Why choose to speak now?" Bassett offered a gentle smile and took a deep breath. "I don't think I was silent," she said. "I just wanted to be sure that when I spoke about Malcolm, I did it with all the respect and love he deserves." The tabloid headlines had tried to frame this as a late confession, but in truth, Bassett had expressed her feelings from the very beginning. Shortly after Warner's death was confirmed on July 20, 2025, she posted a short but heartfelt tribute. "Malcolm wasn't just a colleague, he was family. A special soul taken from us far too soon." This appearance, however, was different, longer, more detailed, and offering the audience a deeper look into their relationship. Bassett spoke of first meeting Warner on 1980 sets, when she was still a newcomer, and he was already America's son. "He always respected me, always asked about my work, and never made me feel small or unimportant. In this industry, that's rare," she recalled. She went on to discuss their reunion on 9/11. Initially, she explained the script had written Amir Casey as a clear-cut antagonist, but Warner brought depth that made the character layered and human. He made Amir a person, not just a role she emphasized. And because of that, the story became more authentic and resonated with the audience. Bassett paused, visibly holding back emotion before speaking about Warner's death. "When I got the call, I couldn't believe it. We had just worked together a few months earlier. We talked about the future, about the projects we were each dreaming about. And then, in just a moment, it was all gone." When the host asked about the rumors tied to the phrase, "What happened backstage?" in the headlines, Bassett gave a soft, bittersweet smile. That backstage didn't hold any dark secrets. It was laughter, support, career advice, and tight hugs before stepping onto the set. But I guess that doesn't make for clickbait, does it? She looked straight into the camera as if speaking directly to viewers. Don't let sensational headlines overshadow a beautiful truth. She revealed that Warner was one of the few colleagues she could truly call a brother in purpose. Though they came from different backgrounds, they shared the same goal: to create positive representations for the Black community on screen. Malcolm understood the power of an image. He knew that when a young Black boy sees someone who looks like him doing good things on TV, it can change his whole life. Throughout the 20-minute conversation, Bassett wove in personal memories, like the time Warner invited her to his poetry reading, or when they'd run into each other at events and spend the entire night talking about family. She made sure to mention his daughter. "I hope she will always know that her father was a hero, not just to audiences, but to those lucky enough to call him a friend." As the program neared its end, the host asked, "If Malcolm could hear you right now, what would you say?" Bassett smiled, her eyes glistening. "I'd say thank you for being yourself. Thank you for showing me that friendship in this business is real. And I miss you so much." In that moment, the studio fell silent. No camera clicks, no audience whispers. Just Angela Bassett, a woman of 65, still carrying her trademark strength, but with eyes that revealed the pain of losing a cherished piece of her life. After this appearance, many viewers admitted they finally understood the truth about the bond between the two stars. There was no secret romance, no backstage drama, only a genuine friendship that had endured for more than 40 years. And it was this simple truth that moved people most. Angela left the studio that night to a long round of applause. But for her, the tribute wasn't over. She was already planning alongside Warner's family a memorial event, where friends, colleagues, and fans could share their own stories of Malcolm, a man who had lived fully loved deeply and left behind a legacy that nothing could diminish. A wave of remembrance across Hollywood and the world. When Angela Bassett officially wrote her tribute to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, she didn't choose flowery or lengthy words. Her sentences were short distilled, yet each one felt like an arrow straight to the reader's heart. Malcolm wasn't just a colleague, she wrote. He was family. A special soul has left us far too soon, leaving behind a light and humility that anyone who ever met him could feel. This tribute was shared hundreds of thousands of times within just 48 hours after being posted, not only because of the writer's fame, but because of how it touched the deep emotions of those who had followed Warner. There was no gap between star and public, between an A-list celebrity and her fans, only the simple truth of a friendship that had endured for more than 4 decades. On Instagram, Angela's post received millions of likes and hundreds of thousands of comments. Many recounted how Warner had impacted their lives not just through his role as Theo Huxtable in The Cosby Show, but also through his music poetry and the messages he conveyed about mental health. Twitter, now X, immediately saw the hashtags Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Always, a reason to smile, rise to the top of global trends. The phrase, "be the reason someone smiles," a message Warner had often repeated, was shared hundreds of thousands of times. Within just 24 hours, over 500,000 posts appeared accompanied by videos, photos, and quotes from his public appearances. Angela said she had read each story, each message. I realized that what Malcolm left behind wasn't just art, but a sense of comfort and being seen. He made people believe they mattered. Hollywood artists also joined in the tribute. Tracy Ellis Ross, his co-star in Read Between the Lines, wrote, "He was warm, generous, and fully present in every moment." Beyoncé dedicated her entire personal website to honoring Warner, a rare move that showed special respect. Even Bill Cosby, who had played Warner's father on screen, sent a message comparing this loss to the death of his own son. Angela was especially moved to see Warner's hometown of Jersey City hold a candlelight vigil. I saw images of sunflowers, Malcolm's favorite flower, covering the community center. He used to say sunflowers were the flower of smiles. When I saw them, I knew people truly understood him. A group of fans established the Malcolm-Jamal Warner Scholarship Fund for Black students pursuing arts and media. Within just 48 hours, the fund had raised over $150,000. Angela shared that she had quietly contributed and hoped the fund would plant new seeds of creativity, just as Malcolm planted in us. On podcast platforms, the final episode of Not All Hood that Warner had recorded, released only 2 days before his death, was replayed millions of times. In it, he said, "Black survival in of itself is Black excellence." Angela called this his unconscious farewell to the world. It's a powerful and humane message reflecting exactly who Malcolm was. What impressed Angela most was how the community responded to this loss. We didn't just grieve. We chose to carry forward the spirit Malcolm left behind, kindness, resilience, and the belief that everyone can bring joy to someone else. She also recalled a backstage memory from 911. "One day we were filming a very intense scene, and I was tired and unfocused. Malcolm just looked at me and smiled. 'Take care of you, right? Always take care of you.' That line has stayed with me ever since." Now, when remembering her late friend Angela, says she doesn't want people to think of his death only as a tragedy. Instead, she wants them to remember that Malcolm-Jamal Warner was proof that a person could be both a talented artist and a source of strength for those around him. He was the light in the room, the reason someone believed in tomorrow. And that light will never go out. From Angela's words, the wave of remembrance turned into a movement of positive energy. No longer centered on headlines about his death, the story now focused on the values Warner left behind: humility, compassion, and the will to rise above adversity. This, she believes, is the legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come, even in Malcolm's absence. A great legacy that lives on. When people think of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, many immediately picture the son Theo Huxtable in The Cosby Show. The series that dominated American television for 8 seasons, drawing over 30 million viewers each week at its peak. But to define Warner solely by that role would be to overlook a greater truth. The legacy he left behind went far beyond any character on screen. It was the sum of his talent, his character, and his enduring contributions to the community. For over 4 decades in the industry, Warner continually reinvented himself. After The Cosby Show, he skillfully shifted away from being boxed in as the charming teen. He starred in Malcolm and Eddie, 1996-2000. A beloved sitcom known for its humor and relatability appeared in Read, Between the Lines, The Resident Suits, and many other projects. On stage, he demonstrated versatile acting skills, and behind the camera, he explored directing and producing. Warner was not only an actor, but also a multi-talented artist. He pursued music seriously, particularly jazz and spoken word, a performance art blending poetry with music. In 2015, alongside Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway, he won a Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Performance for Jesus Children. This was not only a career milestone, but also proof that Warner could shine across multiple artistic disciplines. Alongside his artistry, Warner dedicated himself to social causes. He was a strong voice for mental health in the Black community, a subject often minimized or overlooked. In his final years, he co-hosted a podcast on mental wellness, inviting artists, experts, and inspiring individuals to share their stories. For Warner, this was not just a media project, but a mission to break stigmas, encourage open dialogue, and promote healing. Angela Bassett once said, "Warner's legacy was significant because he rewrote the image of Black masculinity on screen, not through violent or detached characters, but through portrayals that were authentic, intelligent, loving, and vulnerable." From Theo Huxtable to Amir Casey, audiences saw his steadfast commitment to this principle. This conscious choice earned Warner the enduring respect of colleagues and viewers across generations. Warner was also a mentor and teacher. He regularly participated in workshops and acting classes, sharing his experiences with young performers. He told stories from his own journey, from rising to fame as a teenager, to learning how to balance work and personal life as a way to inspire the next generation. To those who worked with him, Warner was more than a colleague. He was a source of emotional support. Tracy Ellis Ross, Magic Johnson, and even Bill Cosby. The on-screen father spoke of his thoughtfulness, humility, and sincerity. Together, these tributes form a clear portrait of a man who knew how to live for himself and for others. Numbers may not tell the whole story, but they hint at his impact over 40 continuous years in the arts, dozens of roles in television and film, at least 5 music albums, a prestigious Grammy Award, hundreds of poetry and music performances across the United States, and thousands of students and young artists inspired by him directly or indirectly. Angela Bassett believes Warner's greatest legacy is not in awards, but in the values he left for the community. That is why she and Warner's family began establishing a scholarship fund in his name to support Black students pursuing the performing arts. Malcolm believed that art could change lives. "We want to make that belief a reality so future generations can still feel his light," Bassett said. At Warner's memorial, hundreds attended, from Hollywood A-listers to little-known newcomers. Each brought a story, a memory, or a word of thanks. And in the center of the room, Angela Bassett quietly smiled as she listened, knowing that this legacy would live on not only in films or music, but in the very people he had touched. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing closed a chapter, but his legacy continues to grow. It lives in the laughter audiences still share over Theo Huxtable, in the emotional gazes sparked by his spoken word performances, and in every opportunity his scholarship fund will open for new talent. For Angela Bassett, the story doesn't end with honoring the past. She wants Warner's legacy to be a reminder of the power of friendship, the value of living true to oneself, and the importance of never losing compassion even in an industry as unforgiving as Hollywood. And right here, Angela Bassett's own story opens to a new chapter, where she is not only the friend who recalls cherished memories, but also the one who carries forward part of the mission Malcolm left behind. Malcolm-Jamal Warner is gone, but the values and spirit he left behind continue to live on, in the hearts of those who knew him, loved him, and were inspired by him. This story is not only to remember a talented artist, but also to remind us of the power of friendship, compassion, and staying true to what is right. If you want to keep journeying with us and hear more heartfelt and genuine stories like this, please hit follow and support the channel. Every bit of your support will help us continue to share the stories that deserve to be told.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore. Stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.